man who sued the sun, and other celestial lawsuits. The audacity of law. If you've ever had a bad neighbor, you know the drill. Maybe their dog barks too loud, or their tree branches hang over your fence. You might send a letter, or in extreme cases, call a lawyer. But in 1923, a man named Angus Lavery decided his neighbor was being far more intrusive than a barking dog. His neighbor lived 93 million miles away. His neighbor was the sun. Most people see a heat wave as an act of God or a quirk of meteorology. Angus Lavery saw it as a tort. He saw it as a violation of property rights. And he wasn't joking. He walked into a local courthouse with a stack of papers, a heart full of spite, and a legal theory so bizarre it would eventually become a staple of law school trivia. But Angus wasn't the last person to try this. From people claiming they own the moon to a woman who tried to charge the entire world for using her sunlight. The history of celestial lawsuits is a rabbit hole of ego, madness, and a desperate human need to own the unknowable. Today, we're looking at the man who sued the sky. Part 1. The heat stroke lawsuit of 1923. To understand Angus Lavery, you have to understand the summer of 1923. It was a brutal one. In the pre-air conditioning era, a heat wave wasn't just uncomfortable, it was a psychological assault. Lavery was a man who took great pride in his land. To him, the boundaries of his property weren't just lines on a map, they were sacred. In common law, there is a Latin doctrine, cuius est solum, ius est usque ad coelum. It means, whoever owns the soil, it is theirs up to the heavens. In the 1920s, this was often interpreted literally. If you own a square of dirt, you theoretically own the column of air above it, all the way to the stars. So, when a record-breaking heat wave began scorching his crops, Lavery didn't blame the climate. He blamed the sun for trespassing. His argument was fascinatingly literal. If a neighbor's heater leaked heat into your house and ruined your furniture, you could sue for damages. The sun was emitting heat. That heat was entering his private airspace without an invitation, and it was damaging his property, his crops. He filed a formal suit seeking an injunction. In legal terms, an injunction is a court order telling someone to stop doing something. Angus Lavery literally asked the judge to tell the sun to stop shining on his farm until it paid a usage fee. Part 2. The Courtroom Circus. The judge asked a simple question. Mr. Lavery, how do you propose we serve the papers to the defendant? In a lawsuit, you have to serve the other party. You have to hand them the legal notice. Lavery's response was that since the sun was a natural agent of the creator, the papers should be served to the local church. The legal community had a field day. If Lavery won, it would set a precedent that would bankrupt the world. If the sun owed you for heat, did you owe the sun for light? Could the sun countersue for the services it provided in growing the food that kept Lavery alive? Ultimately, the case was dismissed on the grounds of jurisdiction. Put simply, the court didn't have the authority to police the solar system, but Lavery's madness ignited a fire. It made people realize that our legal systems are designed for Earth, and we are woefully unprepared for what happens when we look up. Part 3. The Modern Heirs to the Sun. You might think we've gotten smarter since 1923. We haven't. Fast forward to 2010. A Spanish woman named Angeles Duran walked into a notary office and did something incredible. She noticed that while the Outer Space Treaty of 1967 prevents countries from claiming ownership of planets or stars, it doesn't explicitly mention individuals. She registered the sun in her name. She had a notarized document stating she was the owner of a star at the center of our solar system. But she didn't stop there. She opened an eBay account and started selling plots of the sun for €1 per meter. She claimed she was going to give 50% of the proceeds to the Spanish government and 20% to a national pension fund. eBay eventually shut her down, claiming she was selling intangible goods, which led to, you guessed it, another lawsuit. Duran sued eBay for breach of contract. This brings up the micro-history lesson of the day. Humans have an obsession with borders. Even when we look at a giant ball of plasma that could incinerate our entire planet in a second, our first instinct isn't just to wonder at it, it's to ask, can I charge rent for this? The lesson of the lawsuit. So, what happened to Angus Lavery? He faded into history, remembered only as a footnote in weird law books. But his story matters because it represents the ultimate human hubris. We try to fit the infinite universe into our tiny legal boxes. We try to sue the wind, the rain, and the stars. We want to own the light because we're afraid of the dark. The next time you're standing outside on a hot day and the sun is beating down on you, just remember, somewhere in a dusty archive is a legal brief from a man who thought that heat was a bill that hadn't been paid yet. The sun has been shining for 4.6 billion years. It's seen empires rise and fall, and it's seen plenty of lawyers come and go. It hasn't sent a check yet, and honestly, it probably never will. Thanks for watching this deep dive into the weirdest corners of history. If you enjoyed this, hit the subscribe button. It's free, and unlike the sun, I won't charge you for the light.